10 years after Robin Williams' untimely death, his wife Susan Schneider now speaks up, spilling the beans on her husband's dying moments. Far more sinister than despair was the unseen adversary that the adored comic fought. His misdiagnosed ailment has left the world in utter amazement as Susan reveals its actual horror. What secret did Robin Williams encounter in his final moments? We must first comprehend the formative experiences that molded Robin Williams before we can begin to discuss his untimely demise. The Chicago facility that gave birth to Robin McLaurin Williams was St. Luke's Hospital. Illinois, on the 21st of July 1951, he inherited the position of senior executive in Ford's Lincoln Mercury division from his father, Robert Fitzgerald Williams. Lori McLaurin, his mother, was a Jackson, Mississippi-based model. Her great-grandfather, Anselm J. McLaurin, was a senator and governor of Mississippi. Two of Robin's half-brothers were older: Robert, who goes by the name Todd, and McLaurin, who was a half-brother from the mother's side. Growing up in the Episcopal faith of his father, Robin experienced both opulence and seclusion. The household was ruled by his father's beliefs, even though his mother practiced Christian Science. Robin frequently mentioned his mother as a major early influence on his sense of humor, talking about how he would attempt to make her laugh in order to capture her attention. Robin went to Lake Forest's Gorton Elementary School, which is part of Deer Path Junior High. A shy and reserved young man, he kept to himself. When he found out about drama in high school, though, everything changed. Even though he was shy at first, his friends recalled him as hilarious and the center of attention at any gathering. When Robin's father was transferred to Detroit in 1963, his life took a turn for the worst. Suburban Bloomfield Hills, Michigan was the new home for the family, who settled into a massive farmhouse with 40 rooms. During his time at the exclusive private Detroit Country Day School, Robin was a star student and athlete. In addition to being elected class president, he was a member of the wrestling team. Despite all of his success, Robin spent a lot of time alone. His parents were always gone for work, so the household maid was his only real friend. The family relocated to Tiburon, California when Robin was 16 years old, after her father retired early. Robin was transferred to Larkspur's Redwood High School as a result of this adjustment. By the time he graduated in 1969, his classmates had already voted him both funniest and most likely not to succeed, a combination that hinted at the contrasts he would eventually face. Robin initially planned to major in politics at Claremont Men's College after graduating from high school, but he quickly changed his mind and decided to pursue acting instead. He enrolled in the College of Marin to study theater after dropping out. Very soon, his skills shone through. Professor of theater at Marin James Dunn remembered that when he placed Robin as Fagin in the musical Oliver, his improvisations had the other actors in fits of laughter. Dunn frequently gushed to his wife about the acting talent of young Robin, whom he considered as having extraordinary promise. Robin was admitted to New York City's Juilliard School on a full scholarship in 1973. He was admitted as one of the 20 students that year, joining a class that would go on to produce actors such as Mandy Patinkin, Christopher Reeve, and William Hurt. The illustrious John Houseman admitted just 2 students, Reeve and Robin, to the advanced curriculum. Robin made an indelible effect on Reeve at first sight. Robin, he said, was a bundle of energy who never stopped talking, dancing, and making others laugh. Robin's ability to imitate voices and dialects, his remarkable talent for convincingly adopting many dialects, baffled renowned voice and speech instructor Edith Skinner. At first, their principal acting instructor Michael Kahn thought Robin was just pulling a stand-up comedy act. Robin, though, put his detractors to rest with a magnificent portrayal of an elderly man in Night of the Iguana, a play by Tennessee Williams. Their friendship endured till Reeve passed away in 2004, and Reeve was amazed by his change and extremely appreciative. In Sausalito, California, Robin was a busboy at the Trident from 1974 until 1976. After Houseman said he had learned everything he needed to know from Juilliard in 1976, he abruptly left the institution. Nobody was surprised by Robin's departure. His brilliance shone through, yet Juilliard's traditional classical education failed to tame his spirited personality. As soon as Robin left Juilliard, he began his real adventure into comedy. The reserved youngster who had dared to make his mom laugh was on the verge of a hilarious explosion that would alter the face of humor as we know it. Robin began doing stand-up comedy in the Bay Area in 1976. He got his start in the entertainment industry as a bartender at the Holy City Zoo, a comedy club. There was a cultural revolution happening in San Francisco in the 60s and 70s. Bohemian era, sexual revolution, and rock and roll. Robin was spearheading a comedic revival in the city by the late 1970s. Laughter wasn't the only thing that Robin did in San Francisco. It was also a time when I was learning about myself. Some of the most brilliant people of his time fell prey to addiction, and he learned about the link between drugs and happiness. He would remark later that I encountered the brightest minds of my day. Moving to Los Angeles, Robin maintained his stand-up career at venues like the Comedy Store after achieving fame in San Francisco. When he was discovered in 1977, he was invited to appear on a revival of Laughin by TV producer George Schneider. Robin got her first taste of television with this short-lived show. No one could match Robin's enthusiasm. People were astounded, according to David Letterman, who witnessed his performance at the Comedy Store. "Holy crap, my chance in show business is gone," Letterman thought as he swung in like a hurricane. His first film role was in a low-budget comedy, but Robin really broke through on television. Following his appearances on Laughin and The Richard Pryor Show, his breakout role came as the alien Mork on Happy Days. Although he was cast as a replacement at the last minute, Robin's audition became famous. When prompted to sit down, he perched on top of his head. The producers signed him on the spot after seeing his outstanding performance. A spin-off series, Mor and Mindy, was born out of the meteoric rise to fame of the character Mork. Set in modern-day Boulder, Colorado, the show co-starred Pam Dauber. In contrast to Happy Days in 1950s Milwaukee, Robin's wildly improvisatory manner worked wonderfully on Mor and Mindy. With 60 million viewers each week, the show became an enormous success. A star was born from Robin's portrayal of Mork, thanks to his physical comedy and high nasal voice. There were posters, lunchboxes, and coloring books featuring the iconic character Mork once he became a cultural sensation. In March 1979, Time magazine featured an image of Robin, showcasing his intellectual and humorous sides. Recognizing his influence on popular culture, the cover portrait was eventually housed at the Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery. He became an even more indelible part of popular culture that year when he graced the cover of Rolling Stone. Her stand-up career took off once Mor and Mindy became popular. Through his performances in Off the Wall, A Night at the Met, and An Evening with Robin Williams, 3 legendary HBO specials, he was able to attract a broader audience. People were captivated by his lively, fast-paced performance and quick sense of humor. Reality, what a concept! His 1979 live performance at the Copacabana was nominated for Best Comedy Album at the Grammys. However, darkness lurked behind the laughing. Fame and all its temptations in the entertainment industry were too much. Robin fought a terrible cocaine addiction in the 70s and 80s. Even his friend John Belushi was among his party-goers. Unfortunately, Belushi overdosed and died in 1982. Barely a few hours following a wild evening with Robin. The birth of his son Zach, together with this tragic tragedy, served as a wake-up call. Asking if it served as a wake-up call, Robin abruptly stopped using drugs and alcohol. Yes, on a massive scale, and the grand jury was helpful too. Robin started exercising and cycling as a means to fight off his despair. "Cycling saved my life," he would say time and time again. His friend and the proprietor of the bike business, Tony Tom, shared the same opinion. This change ushered in a more positive, though still turbulent, period in Robin's life. It was a golden age for Robin's career. His acting chops were on full display in his role as Garp in The World, according to Garp. The critic Roger Ebert lauded his portrayal, mentioning how Robin skillfully navigated the film's anarchy while maintaining an optimistic and courageous demeanor. That being said, his career didn't take off thanks to a few parts he had in the early 1980s. But he persisted nevertheless. participating in a comedy special alongside icons such as Carol Burnett and Whoopi Goldberg, and co-hosting the 58th Academy Awards in 1986. With Good Morning Vietnam, he finally broke through. While portraying Vietnam War radio DJ Adrienne Cronauer, Robin let her improvisatory genius shine. Impressions of Walter Cronkite and Elvis Presley were among the personas he brought to life, and he frequently did it without a screenplay. After the film was a smash hit, he was nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars, further cementing his position in Hollywood. In Robin's life, film was only one medium. He made a triumphant stage return in an off-Broadway staging of Waiting for Godot, co-starring with Steve Martin. His performances frequently combined comedic and dramatic elements as demonstrated in films such as Patch Adams and Mrs. Doubtfire. He became famous for his role as a wise professor in Dead Poets Society, inspiriting an entire generation in the last scene. For Disney's Aladdin in 1992, Robin provided the voice of the genie. At first hesitant, Robin eventually agreed, but only after being assured the position would not be exploited for financial benefit. His ad-libs were so brilliant that the directors recorded 30 hours of them. The picture was a huge hit, and Robin's portrayal of the genie won him many fans. Conflict arose between Robin and Disney due to unfulfilled promises concerning the marketing usage of the genie. Robin initially declined to return for the sequel, but she eventually apologized publicly and agreed to return. He began to broaden his acting repertoire at this time, lending his voice to Fern Gully, The Final Rainforest, and starring in films with darker themes, such as Insomnia and 1 Hour Photo. No one could match Robin's adaptability. He was equally at home in dramatic and humorous parts. Receiving praise from critics and winning a slew of accolades, he was nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his performance as a therapist in Good Will Hunting, and his depth was on display in Dead Poets Society and The Fisher King. A new side of Robin's skill surfaced in the 2000s when he took on more darker roles. Both his stand-up comedy and his appearances in psychological thrillers kept audiences captivated. The enormous success of his Broadway one-man show, Robin Williams, further established him as one of the all-time greats of stand-up comedy. But Robin's troubles were still there, unabated despite her celebrity and fortune. While shooting The Big White in Alaska, he picked up drinking again. He entered a sober living facility in 2006 to address his drinking. He spoke frankly about his battles with addiction, stressing that he never went back to cocaine, which had paranoia and impotence effects on him. Weapons of Self-Destruction, Robin's 2008 stand-up tour, demonstrated his continued comic brilliance. An HBO special marked the end of the tour, demonstrating that his skill was unaffected by his struggles. His love for the stage was unwavering. Despite his enthusiasm for comedic roles, he was denied the role of Rubeus Hagrid in the Harry Potter series because of the director's strict policy of only casting British actors. This didn't stop Robin from showcasing his versatility and dedication to his art by landing roles in animated features and TV shows. Robin made her television comeback in the early 2010s with her show The Crazy Ones. Despite the show's brief run, it showcased his timeless charisma and adaptability. Posthumously released films featuring him include Secret of the Tomb and Night at the Museum. The private life of Robin Williams was just as interesting and multifaceted as his professional life. Love came into his life more than once for him in the midst of his popularity, and each relationship had its own ups and downs. Valerie Velarde was Robin's first wife. They met in 1976 while he was working as a bartender in San Francisco. Marriage took place in June 1978 as a result of their instant bond. Their 1983 son, Zachary Pym Zach Williams, was welcomed into the world by the happy couple. Their relationship was turbulent, though, as Robin's career took off. After a decade of marriage, they decided to end it with a divorce in 1988. Speculation began in 1986 around Robin's supposed affair with Zachary's babysitter, Marcia Garces. Marcia was 6 months pregnant when Robin and Marcia tied the knot on April 30, 1989, as Valerie explained in the 2018 documentary Robin Williams. Cody Allen was born in 1991 and Zelda Ray was born in 1989, their 2 children together. Robin seems to have finally settled down for a while. The divorce papers were filed by Marcia in March 2008 with the grounds being irreconcilable differences. Their marriage had already ended by 2010. Robin discovered love once more despite the pain of her past. On October 22, 2011, he wed graphic designer Susan Schneider in a beautiful ceremony in St. Helena, California. Robin treasured his time with his family after the pair lived in Seacliff, San Francisco. "My children give me a great sense of wonder," he once said, reflecting on the joy they brought into his life just to see them develop into these extraordinary human beings. A fresh and unanticipated foe emerged by March 2009 for Robin Williams. Postponement of tour dates occurred as a result of his hospitalization for significant cardiac problems. He underwent surgery to fix his erratic heartbeat, replace his aortic valve, and repair his mitral valve. An arduous new chapter in his life began on March 13, 2009, when he traveled to the Cleveland Clinic for life-altering surgery. Robin appeared unfazed by her health problems, but there were storm clouds gathering behind her resiliency and laughter. Mara Buxbaum, who worked as his publicist, later came clean about Robin's struggle with depression. Susan Schneider, Robin's wife, revealed the news of his early-stage Parkinson's disease diagnosis in the months preceding up to his passing. Robin had been reluctant to discuss the diagnosis publicly. Robin was actually up against something much more sinister than Parkinson's disease. His autopsy confirmed the terrible disease diffuse Lewy body dementia, which is sometimes mistaken for Parkinson's. He suffered from extreme anxiety, paranoia, and depression, all of which were exacerbated by this disorder, which is defined by aberrant protein deposits in the brain. According to Susan, "It's like a terrorist operating within my husband's mind," mentioning that he passed away as a result of this illness. Insomnia, heightened anxiety, and panic attacks were the first symptoms that Robin experienced in October 2013. Memory loss, paranoia, and delusions were the results of these symptoms getting worse with time. According to Susan, Robin knew he was going crazy. "I simply want to reboot my brain" was a common way he would describe his feelings of hopelessness. It was shocking news when Robin Williams' body was discovered in his Paradise Cay, California, home on August 11, 2014. A 63-year-old man he was. According to the final autopsy report, Robin committed suicide by hanging herself. His system tested negative for illicit substances and alcohol, and the levels of his prescription pharmaceuticals were within the therapeutic range. Susan, Robin's widow, eventually revealed the full degree of her husband's anguish in an essay published in the Neurology Journal. The report also verified that he had been experiencing significant anxiety and despair. The medical community ranked his condition among the most severe disorders they had ever encountered. She described how panic attacks and an increasing difficulty to memorize scripts were symptoms of Robin's condition. Tragic for the performer whose career flourished due to his wit and improv abilities. 2 years before he passed away, Robin left a moving note while he was fighting. His desire to assist others in feeling less fearful was plainly stated in his 12 Steps book. His legacy was summed up in this message. "Robin and I were talking about our life goals and our legacy," Susan recounted. "I want to help people be less afraid," he stated without missing a beat. "Robin, I told you that was fantastic because you're already doing it with your sweetheart. You have a unique ability like that." Susan's thoughts on Robin's dying days show how hard he fought. According to her, he was the most courageous man on the planet, performing the most challenging role of his life. The loss of Robin's powers was catastrophic for someone with his level of intelligence. She went on to say that he was too preoccupied with the fact that he was having an increasingly difficult time getting it properly. Robin appeared to be doing better the night before he passed away. He bid Susan a good night, and it seemed like the new meds were making a difference. There appeared to be every indication that he was improving. The truth, however, was much darker, as Susan pointed out. As a result of his neurological condition, Robin took his own life. Because of his severely damaged brain, he could not think of any other way to put an end to his pain. After he passed away, Susan wanted to know what had transpired. As she put it, "I've spent this last year trying to find out what killed Robin so that we might better comprehend the nature of the battle we were engaged in. Robin was well cognizant of his mental deterioration, the doctors said, and they could do nothing to reverse it. Susan bemoaned the fact that the disease was both larger and more rapid than they were. The life of Robin Williams is a roller coaster of ups and downs, joy and sorrow. The fact that he wanted to make people feel less scared in his last note shows how kind and human he was.